right now is that Captain Ibrahim Traoré has just carried out another clean sweep in Burkina Faso yesterday. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has even banned over 200 fresh NGOs in Burkina Faso. According to the information we are hearing, we were told that these organizations were Western financed organizations, which has now triggered another law just on the 13th of May. So, ladies and gentlemen, according to the reports we are now getting, because there is a huge outcry on the Western right organization, they are saying that for the past 10 months, the Captain Ibrahim Traoré has now banned over 900 NGOs and civil rights organizations in Burkina Faso alone. Now, this started on July 25 when Captain Ibrahim Traoré signed the law restricting rights groups and labor syndicates. And on April 15, a communique dissolved 118 civil rights society in Burkina Faso and NGOs targeting malaria. So there was an NGO that was funded exclusively by Bill Gates. They called the name of this NGO Target Malaria. We need to get into the details about that organization, but it was cancelled completely. They were not suspended. Those ones were removed by Captain Ibrahim Traoré. And those NGOs too, they had a little bit to say about this recent dismissal. On May 6, there was a ministerial decree that dissolved 200 plus more associations in Burkina Faso. I'm talking about civil rights association, ladies and gentlemen. Now, between May 12 and 13, there is a new ministerial decree that suspends 247 additional associations in Burkina Faso. Ladies and gentlemen, the sum total is now 900 plus NGOs and civil rights organizations that have been cancelled from Burkina Faso. Ladies and gentlemen, the number of NGOs that are fighting to stay in Burkina Faso, even though the deep state that they represent call this particular country the global epicenter of terrorism, is alarming. If over 1,000 NGOs, the big question to ask for all this outcry that we're hearing is, we've not heard anything. We've not heard any type of condemnation in any capacity from all these human rights and whatever NGOs that are present in Burkina Faso. We've not heard any condemnation of the terrorism acts that have been going around the Sahel. We've not, in any capacity, not that we know of. And apart from that, when Israel Baghe entered Burkina Faso and went to that, where people dump refuse and made a video, what move did all this, over 1,000 NGOs, so what have they been doing in Burkina Faso? So it begs the question, is Africa really developing with all this so-called humanitarian organization? Matter of fact, let me shock you. These NGOs are heavily funded to carry out humanitarian duties. But there is only one entity that we have seen in the Sahel that human rights groups fight for. And that is the JNIM. Yes, the JNIM, that's what they fight for. You've seen on so many mainstream media, you've heard from the Human Rights Watch, they fight for the interest of the JNIM. And there is another entity inside the Sahel that is improving by the day when it comes to supplies, when it comes to medication, when it comes to treatment. Equally, the JNIM. So, I wouldn't be surprised. They went to them. Israel Baghe went to where she went to, and she said that this is the living condition of certain people that I don't know of. But there are over 1,000 NGOs that are carrying out humanitarian duties in Burkina Faso. So did these humanitarian groups, what have they been doing in Burkina Faso? Well, that is by the way. So let's get into the key detail. On April 15, there was a decree specifically targeting a named organization named Target Malaria, a Bill Gates Foundation backed research project that has been operating in Burkina Faso since 2012, working on genetically modified mosquitoes to combat malaria. Another question is, you've been in Burkina Faso since 2012. Let's call it what it is simply. They want to turn Burkina Faso to a research institute, like where the citizens of this country are the specimens. They want to carry out experiment and see how the Burkinabe civilians, how their physiology, or they want to see the pathophysiology. They want to see what happens when this reaction takes place. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré stormed down this organization. And let's hear what they talked about. This organization said that they were working on genetically modified mosquitoes to combat malaria. They said Target Malaria claimed that they were in compliance with all national legislation and expressed the willingness to cooperate with authorities. But they were shut down anyway. So when we talk about cooperation with authorities, what cooperation are they talking about? Money cannot buy the life and dignity of people. I think a lot of people don't understand that in 2026. That money cannot repair the damage that you might have done to the lives of people. Money cannot repair what you've done to the dignity of people. So whatever claim they are making here is by the way. And in 2026, the fact that Burkina Faso made this declaration and some organizations are shouting and crying and yelling, it means that, maybe we live in a different world entirely. The people of Burkina Faso are not crying. The people that are crying are these NGOs, this so-called organization. And I'm going to explain further. Now, according to the information that was given, they said the NGOs that were cancelled, part of these NGOs, like the primary ones, they said under health, the clinics, HIV programs. So how many organizations were under that HIV programs? We don't know. They did not stipulate. Public health initiatives. Education, under education, schools, literacy programs, youth development. Matter of fact, the schools I have seen from different documentaries in Burkina Faso are schools that have just been created by Captain Ibrahim Traoré. I mean, the ones that are conducive enough for people to learn properly. So when they talk about schools, I have not seen these schools. Maybe they can provide us some evidence. They talked about women's rights. They talked about advocacy groups. They talked about gender-based violence support. Now, they talked about farming and agriculture. Farmer cooperatives. They talked about food security programs. Environment. They talked about conservation, climate adaptation projects. Now, let's go back to this farming and agriculture. Do you know that these groups are present in Nigeria? Nigeria is now a country that is almost 100% agriculture. When it comes to agriculture, is a country that imports all agricultural produce. But in the 1960s, the major source of economic transformation for Nigeria was agriculture, groundnut and cocoa. But now we export almost everything. It's a shame. So they talked about environment, they talked about conservation, climate adaptation projects. These are organizations, for God's sake, in one country, and they have branches. They talked about culture and sports, community organizations. They talked about human rights, Amnesty International affiliate groups, and they talked about investigative monitors. So the question is, what are those investigative monitors monitoring in Burkina Faso? Are they tracking the movement of the terrorists in Burkina Faso? Or what are they tracking? So when you say investigative monitors, and you talk about Amnesty International affiliates that have not condemned any act of terrorism by the terrorists in Burkina Faso, you talk about investigative monitors, but you cannot track a single movement of the JNIM. But these same people claim that troops used to attack civilians in Burkina Faso. So the question is, what are you monitoring inside Burkina Faso? So the president, the international NGO and charity receiving foreign... Now, these NGOs, according to information now, these international NGOs and charities receiving foreign donations are regularly accused of spying or colluding with terrorists. That is the allegation that is on them. They said, with terrorists fighting the Burkinabe army. The decree states that during the suspension period, only actions designed to ensure the association are respecting the laws are allowed. Vague language that gives the military sweeping power to raid offices, seize assets, and detain organizers. That is their own claim. So now the bigger picture is that most of these organizations are getting funded by Western sources. So now the biggest rule that is now coming out now, they said apart from the dissolution of political parties in Burkina Faso, these 900 plus NGOs and civil society purge, apart from that, they said there is now a law that foreign funds, foreign sponsors is now abolished. This is what these organizations are claiming now. That Burkina Faso no longer permits foreign sponsorships. I don't know what they mean by Burkina Faso stopping foreign sponsorship. Maybe that foreign sponsorship needs to be vetted by the government to know what purpose that money will be coming to Burkina Faso for. Maybe that's why they are now shouting against it and all of that. So, according to information now, they said there will now be diplomatic action that they will be taking against Burkina Faso. I don't know what diplomatic action they are going to be taking. So they said all this move is to clamp down on organizations that can stand up to the regime in Ouagadougou. They said foreign funding is now effectively criminalized. They said, and it will be starving grassroots organizations. Well, at this point, I will say this. You see, these grassroots organizations that they are talking about, I have not seen their impact. Honestly, I would have loved to see what these organizations are doing inside Burkina Faso. And you can see most of these organizations that have just been cancelled are civil rights organizations. And don't forget, I said that in Mali, the JNIM leaders, they called on the civil rights organization to stand up against the government. You cannot mention, I lost count of how many times Emmanuel Macron in Kenya said that they were working closely with the civil rights organization in Mali. So it's a question, whose interests does this civil rights organization, whose interests do they serve? You know, whose interests? Now I'm going to say this again. If you are an African and you call yourself, civil rights, whatever you call yourself, how do you contribute to our economy? That's a big question I need to ask you, because some of these people are our own people. That's the question I want to ask you. I make a video. I'm a biomedical scientist. I work in the hospital. I serve my people. I contribute to the GDP of this country. I pay my tax. I have other businesses I do. Fundamentally, I'm a farmer. Fundamentally, I'm a farmer. I can boast that I contribute to the GDP of my country, whatever situation. But how come some people, you join some organizations to destroy your country, and by the time they tell all these organizations to leave, these individuals who are corrupt by nature will start protesting. What are you protesting for? You go about in big cars, but your main occupation in your country is to sow discord. Let's tell ourselves the truth. You've been funded by Western organization, you live this huge life and all of that, but the only thing you sow is mischief and discord. 100% I am backing Burkina Faso on this move. I've been talking about the civil rights organization for a while. Because why is the JNIM calling on you? Why is the JNIM calling on you? What have you done? How many times have you spoken against the external pressures that Burkina Faso, Mali, or Niger has faced? So, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has discovered and uncovered these organizations, and ladies and gentlemen, another 246 has now been suspended. Well. I honestly, for me, this is a win. You see, gone are the days where entities outside Africa will dictate how African geopolitics, diplomacy, or whatever we do is being done. And they plant watchers among us to monitor what we do. No, it's not supposed to be that way. Burkina Faso was Burkina Faso. Whatever name they were bearing back then, they were Burkina Faso. They were Moses before French came to steal. Before the French came to steal, they were people. They had their own civilization. They were not eating themselves. They were not, they were not Epstein in nature. They were not eating themselves. They were not Epstein in nature. All of a sudden, these people came and you want to dictate. Now you want to dictate how people relate to themselves, talking about civil rights organizations. And for me personally, I have never seen a positive, I have never seen how this civil rights organization has affected anyone's life that I know of in my country positively. I've not seen it. And it's so unfortunate that some of us are the biggest traitors in our nations. It's so unfortunate. Because at the end of the day, when the NATO chief was questioned about what they did in Libya, he said they did not do anything in Libya. He said Libyans took the life of Gaddafi by themselves. So if we talk about all this organization in Burkina Faso now, all this organization, they were getting Western funding, but indigenous people. So you sow corruption, and it gets to a point, the corruption makes you, you wake up in sick bed. How do you even get up? If you look at us in 2026, a lot of us are very, very unproductive. I'm sorry to say this. If you live your life completely on TikTok or whatever platform, and you don't have any other way of contributing to the economy of your country, then that's a sad story. because your entire life can be controlled in a snap. Okay, let's say all this social media platform ban our countries. Then what do you do? How do you continue to, add to your country? So I think one of the biggest problem that I see here is incompetence. And Captain Ibrahim Traoré has said this many times, that the biggest problem that we have is incompetence. Incompetence brings about corruption. Because when you look at all these organizations that have been cancelled, including the Gates organization, you can't really point out. You can't. The only benefits that people. Now you can talk about employment, right? Employment, but what do we produce? I think Africans should be getting to a stage where the first question we should ask from ourselves is, what can I do for my country? How can I affect the life of my people? What solution can I bring to the people? Nigeria was an agricultural powerhouse before this whole oil problem came in. Everybody now becomes rich. Everybody wants to become rich. Corruption came in. Corruption became profitable. Terrorism came in. Terrorism became profitable. And this is where we are. And everybody is looking for who to blame. In Nigeria now, you can no longer even farm. You cannot try it. Because people have been planted to take you out. These are years. This is like a gradual build-up. For years. It has been happening for years. This is now, we are getting to the results now. I don't know if this is the highest level of the results we are getting, but I think what I'm even saying, I think it's just a preamble. I think more is coming. Burkina Faso is building a future for themselves. When it comes to agro-pastoral offensive initiative right now, Burkina Faso is 3.0 at this point. Tomato production. Burkina Faso's agriculture at this point is amazing. They are turning. Now, it used to be gold before, exclusively gold. But now, on the agricultural front, Burkina Faso is feeding herself now. When you look at the amount of agricultural import Burkina Faso have compared to 2024, it has even dropped drastically. This is a country that is objective and they are moving the right way. You see, what I would say about this complaint is simple. If your enemies, if they praise what you are doing, then you are a criminal yourself. But if your enemies complain about what you are doing, then it means you have to do even more of what you are doing. I take my hat off to Captain Ibrahim Traoré for this move. I've been expecting this same move in Mali, most especially these civil rights organizations. Matter of fact, almost every NGO should go that are not indigenous, that are not funded by the states. How many NGOs do you have in China? We want to continue to tell ourselves lies. I have noticed something. Let me tell you the truth. Now, I will tell you that one now. Whenever we walk around, there are those people they brought from the north. Whenever we are walking around, we are doing road walk in the morning. They have hands, they have legs, they have everything. I'm talking about physiologically and anatomically complete human beings. They sit down on the road and they are begging for money. It angers my spirit. It's an ideology. I asked from a cleric. I said, why is this? He said it's part of their religion. Is it not what they call feasibility like? He said it's part of their religion. That somebody that has nobody to take, that cannot take care of themselves, that God has made it that somebody would take care of them some way, somehow. That the birds that fly in the air, There is God that knows how, they are being fed. This is the highest level of incompetence I've ever seen. You have their kids, they have, in fact, some of them have up to 8 kids sitting down there begging with them. That is bandits incubating. These things needs to be condemned. And now these are the reasons why they send NGOs, because these are the people they are coming to take care of. Incompetence everywhere. And it's so sad. And we should stop playing victims. Because a lot of people will come and be like, oh, somebody will take care of them at the end of the day. Who will take care of them? In a normal, sane environment, who should take care of them? In that precarious condition, you are still giving birth to up to 8 kids and they are all small. I wonder the distance between them. And somebody will ask me, oh, I'll try and give. Like, what? If I give, like, I have given a lot of these people money, you come back the next day, you see them there. Like, you give them, like, sometimes you give them a money that you feel like, okay, this is enough for the day. I'm talking about real money. You give it to them because you feel like, oh, man, these people need to, like, you give them, they sit there. And the next person come in, the next person just behind you, they're going to beg the person for money again. So they see it as, like, it's a way of life already. It's so unfortunate. And these are the reasons why we have NGOs. And these NGOs, what they are not doing now is that they are funding terrorism. These are facts. Let's not let's not run away from these facts. These are facts. They are funding terrorism. And we are complaining that, oh, terrorism and all of that. But how do you push these NGOs out? You will imagine sometimes they will say they gave Nigeria almost 160 something million dollars of this thing last month. You will ask, where are these aids? Where are they going to? Who are these people? But you continue to see these beggars every day. They look very unkept. They look very unhealthy. We need to stop promoting incompetence. Imagine an essential worker. You are a medical student. You go to church and you give testimony that your final exam you did not write anything, and you pray to God and you passed. Are we okay in this country? And you're going to take care of somebody. You are going to be the one to save the life of somebody. We have not come to that point in Africa where we realize the detrimental effects of some of the things we glorify in this country. You are supposed to undo somebody's life, and you say you pray. Your lecturer should be arrested. Matter of fact. And you will see that these testimonies, it will go, like it will radiate. And you have some youths that will start believing that what they are supposed to work hard to earn, that they can pray their way out of it. I can fail this exam, but if I can, what is going on? Somebody will say, I did not write anything. I wrote Jesus wins at the back of my script and I passed. That's why you have a lot of people puncturing sciatic nerve, paralyzing people because of incompetence. I've just told you about the situation of the beggars. What are they doing about it? You have some clerics that will say that, oh, it's part of their religion. Then look at this case of testimony. Somebody will stand in church and be like, you receive your blessing. So what have you worked for? What have you worked for? You will receive what have you done? What value have you given? Because now that Burkina Faso is chasing these organizations away, some people will sit down somewhere and will be like, oh, why are they doing it? Why should they not do it? How do you teach the incompetent people to be competent? Burkina Faso started sending away beggars from the streets. Because this is why I feel too. I see a beggar. You are not physically incapacitated. Like your hands are there, your head is intact, everywhere is okay. You look even stronger. You look well fed than the people working. But you sit there with a basket in your front. You are getting GoFundMe or what? So, and these are the things, these are the people. Because when Yusra Baget traveled to Burkina Faso, she made some videos, right? Now imagine you come to Nigeria, you make those videos, you will see all these women beside the road, right? And you will capture them. And when you hear some things and you look at these people, you'll be like, you will be like, I've seen people that claim to be rich and to be doing well in this country. But where are these ones from? And you will think that, oh, everything is not working. No, sometimes it's working. Sometimes the situation is tough, but people are still trying their best. But these people, their problem is ideological. They believe that they were created to be that way. We need to redress a lot of things. We need to change a lot of things. Burkina Faso has done a great job by cancelling all these NGOs. Imagine genetically engineered mosquito in 2026. Genetically engineered mosquito that did not unalive me since 19 what? So it is the genetically engineered one that will take me out that you are now trying to do in 2026. They've turned Africa to lab rats. I have so many materials, declassified materials, that is not still open to the public. Oh shit. Help me to hone wait, take help me to plug. Just hold on. Then let me give you this. Take. No, wait. Take. Plug it. Plug what? Of that soft box. The code. Click that button. Okay. Yeah. 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 It's okay. So it's show on now. Yeah. So that is the biggest problem we have. I'm not waiting for the government. I will never wait for the government. And the best way we can afford, we can is the situation in Nigeria. So I'm not trying to play victim. I'm not gonna blame Tinubu for it. You know, we've been able to improvise and adapt and get out of this situation that it's our incompetent leaders, we need to recalibrate ourselves. Seriously, we need to recalibrate ourselves. In 1960, 1963, 1964, Nigerians' main source of power was agriculture. In 2026, we import almost everything. That same agriculture, you will hear farmers saying that Fulani herdsmen. I want you to get the main play here. They said the Fulani herdsmen went to their farm, uprooted their products, and gave it to their cattle. You think it's because Fulanis are just wicked on their own? There are people that are trying to control the agricultural sovereignty of your country. There are people that want to create dependence. Because an independent you is an arrogant you that will rebel. Dependence is how you maintain control. Why will anybody go to your farm? And you should ask yourself the question, why have your government been so powerless for so long to make laws that no herdsmen should go into farms and destroy people's farm again? From top to bottom is corruption. And we are part of this system too. We have so much empowered corruption as citizens. And that is why the West can even challenge our authorities. Because we contributed to incompetence, because we bring incompetent people to power. Are you telling me that in Nigeria, a country of over 270 million people, all the senators, representatives, and you mean that you don't have qualified people? You have qualified people. But one, because Islamic clerics have slots for every job. Christian clerics have slots for every job, every admission, everything. I told you how I got my job. I got a call. Come and pick up an appointment letter. There were people that wrote the exam that didn't get it. You don't build a country like that. You don't build sovereignty like that. And these people, even in football, when my dad was the friend of the Director General for Sports in Nigeria for National Sports Commission, the players that were representing Nigeria, some of them, they got there by, this is my candidate. This is my candidate. And at the end of the day, the country performed very bad and the citizens will get angry. The question you are not asking is, how did they get there? So it's a cleanup that we need to do. Burkina Faso is on the way. That's why you see me supporting Burkina Faso today. Mali is on the way. That is why you see me supporting them. I don't care about how many beautiful houses you have in your country. We don't care about what your country look like aesthetically. It's facade. Aesthetics don't win fight. Aesthetics don't determine progress. Progress is gotten through blood, sweat, and tears. People work hard to get progress, real progress. When America and Iran started the war, I said something on this platform. I said somebody is doing it for publicity and somebody is really, really doing the work. And why have the Strait of Hormuz not been opened? If their military capacity have been obliterated, why have the Strait of Hormuz not been opened? You can continue to lie to yourself. You get to some countries, everywhere looks so good, but that country is bad. It's decaying from inside out. We need to wake up. I support Burkina Faso spirit, soul, and body, and I have no regrets. Because when I look at the youth of my country, what do I see? I'm a youth. If you look at my age, you will be surprised. I am very, very young. Because you see me with cap, when I remove my cap, you see my real age. I think some people have seen it before here. When I see my contemporaries in my country, I shake my head. I can argue it that you have less than 7% of these 300 million people that are reasonable. It's so shameful. The things they glorify. You see people confidently glorifying corruption. And everybody wants to blame it on the government. Very dark man traveled to China. He bought something from a store. He brought out money from his pockets. This is a common practice in Africa. He tried to give the Chinese girl that sold the goods that, please keep this as a tip. The girl said, for what? What are you buying? He felt embarrassed. To him, it's a normal African practice. Even without buying anything, people want to beg. These people feel like they are helpless. And because we are not telling ourselves the truth. But he got to China. The Chinese girl said, what are you buying? The girl rejected the money. And this is the reason why you have some certain men who get to certain places and they will see people doing good jobs. They will see people inside malls doing jobs, not stealing, not going into banditry. They will tell them, how much do you earn? When you see the results we are getting today, We cannot deny that it's just the government. We equally contributed to part of this problem. I told my partner the other day when we went out, we saw a Fulani person. And there is a common language in Nigeria. When you see somebody from the north, you say Aboki. Right? And I asked the person, I said, what's your name? I want to address you by your name. I'm not going to call you an Aboki. He told me his name. I think Sonny or Musa. And I said, Sonny Musa is very, very nice to meet you. Because he's a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian like him. He is not Aboki. A lot of people don't understand the meaning of that word. Some of them see that word as if you are talking, as if you see them as nobody. That is why when those people are told to go and carry out certain duties, they don't have that human feeling. Because this is how you address them when you see them. Well, Burkina Faso has made the right move. The people that want to cry should go and cry. Like I said yesterday, I said I'm waiting for the day I will be big enough where some certain Western entities will invite me to speak on certain topics. You will know why some people are different than some people. Honestly. We need to get out of this space of incompetence. We need to get out of this space of feeling like we need help. Africa, we need collaboration. We don't need help. We need partnership. We cannot deny that. But we don't need to be pitied. China, when you speak to a Chinese, most especially their government executives, they have not forgotten the Japanese fascism. They have not forgotten the Nazi Germany. They didn't forget that era. What happened to them? And it's part of the reason why they continue to develop. Every day, they grade their developments. Their contest is with the United States. They have a rating. We achieved this. This is where the United States is. We are closing the gap. But Africa, we don't even remember what happened during slavery. There is nothing motivating us to develop. You see the way some people are living, zagging their trouser, moving their bald head up and down the whole place. As if they never had ancestors that suffered. Some people, when their ancestors look at what their bloodline is doing right now, you know, they will be covered with more dust. How shameless their progenies have become. Africa, we need to grow. And we need to stop giving our support to hypocrisy and incompetence. That is the worst thing that can happen to us. We need to stop supporting incompetent people. I look at most of your influencers. Why will Emmanuel Macron not collaborate with influencers to destroy Africa? Have you not seen it? It's happening. Emmanuel Macron, do you know how many of your influencers Emmanuel Macron is currently collaborating with? And those ones, they will never for a second think about the people. And that is the same product you have in your government. It is because of what we glorify. It is because of what we worship. In Africa here, people worship money. People, they worship money. Go and look at most of your influencers. What do they influence? They are they're like embodiment of negative influence. Some influencers, they turn the youth towards cultism. Some influencers. And these are the people, most of your influencers even distract you. But before they were influencers, the question is, before you promoted them, who were they? What were they doing? What value did they offer you? Did they trigger that light inside you to become somebody? Or did they intimidate and humiliate you? Did they make you feel as if you will never become anything reasonable in your life? Are your influencers, are they pushing you to work hard to become somebody? We claim we don't even produce any military capability or anything. I was speaking to a Nigerian engineering graduate who called himself a mechanical graduate the other time. And he said this was what he did in his project. And I asked him, can you mold a crude crankshaft? That's a question. He has never heard questions like that in his life. He was reading me theory and I said, can you create a crude, not even a good crankshaft, create a crude crankshaft? It was all analysis. He cannot do anything. A fresh graduate of engineering, mechanical engineering for that matter. He said, we need to go to the local weather. Then why didn't you go for wedding in the first place? So for me, you look at Burkina Faso, you look at where they are picking up their development from, and you be like, oh, they are behind. You better not play with yourself. Burkina Faso is miles ahead of a lot of people. Burkina Faso is miles ahead of a lot of people. I promise you. You are looking at the dust on the streets. That is only a symbol that they have the opportunity to even build something better than you have right now. You have built, they still have a lot of spaces to build at. I see a lot of Nigerian mainstream media, they always criticize Burkina Faso. It's because you are part of the imperialists and you look at Nigerian system, look at the political system in Nigeria. Everybody's talking about one party system. But look at the set of individuals that that Nigerians promoted into power. Nigerians promoted Tinubu, tribalism and religious bigotry. He said Muslim ticket. And a lot of people promoted him because of that Muslim ticket. And what is discussed on the board right now? It's a Yoruba person. What is discussed on the board right now? Are you buying a Congo of rice lesser than what an Igbo person buys it? Well, this is what I say on this day. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has cancelled over 900 NGOs. More powers to him, and we are waiting for him to even cancel more. We, the African people, are backing him to even cancel more of those organizations. No building is easy. No, if you are growing and it's easy, it's not growth. It's not growth. It's not development. Africa has so much resources that from 60 years and above, if you have competent people from 60 years and above, even below that, you should be getting paid by the government without working. But because you have thieves that are never tired of stealing, a thief can never be tired of stealing. A thief can never be tired of stealing. And these are the things we need to correct. Everything is not the West. We need to search our mind. We need to ask questions from ourselves. And I know a lot of people can relate with what I'm saying, but they've given up. No, it's better we just continue like this. If we continue like that, a time will come. We will tell stories that, that place used to be our land. Did you get that? We will tell stories that place used to be our land. How are you being treated in Europe? Some people call you nigger, you get angry. Right? This is the only place. This is the only place where you can speak. Emmanuel Macron came to Kenya, told the people of Kenya that they were making noise. I don't care what interpretation you want to give to it. This is a new face. Where will you now call your own? Where you can be free. Because there is a lot of displacement that is going on in Africa. And we are playing. We are playing. Some people are fighting. Some people are playing. Some people are telling lies to themselves. A time will come. Because if it's not you that will be here at that time, it will be your children. In my tradition, we believe in reincarnation. Let's say you come back and you are living. A time is coming. I see that time coming. Where maybe it will be the case that we say, oh, my parent told me that we used to be the owners of that land. Have you not heard history? That we used to be the ones in Egypt. The Egyptians said to the Israelis, he said, when you left Egypt, the former president, he said, when you left Egypt, before Al-Sisi, he said, they left as blacks. But why did you come back as whites? There are some territories in Africa that have been claimed. It used to be black. And if care is not taken, and you don't open your ears, a time will come. Some people will tell stories that place too used to be. There are some part of Benue State now where, the people that owns the place, they are now currently narrating stories that we used to be there. We used to live there, but they don't live there again. It's gradual. But there is always an opportunity for a change. But if we like, we can continue to run away from that change. We can continue to deny. Denial is the easiest achievement. It's like a wish. If it were us, it's beggars will ride. So this is just another opportunity. I don't know why I switched to this side. I was only trying to give you, I'm sorry for taking your time. I was only trying to tell you about the move of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, which is a very, very phenomenal move that he has just made. And I know the Western media will cry. The founders of these satanic organizations will cry. But Captain Ibrahim Traoré is standing on business. Even as a Nigerian, I think I've earned the right to say that Captain Ibrahim Traoré has done another fantastic job for his people, for Africans in general. The behavioral psychology of Emmanuel Macron in Kenya is a product of the pressure from the Sahel. William Ruto has always been a puppet. So if they are talking about respect for Africa and a strategy, a change of strategy, it is because of the complete debacle and failure in the Sahel. They say if it's not broken, there's no point in fixing it. If William Ruto was a fraud right from the ab initio, so why would Emmanuel Macron change? Why would they try to change the relationship with William Ruto, who they have in their pockets? We can see the only place where resistance is coming from in Africa, except we want to deny. It is because of the Sahel. And some people are sitting there taking the glory. We'll see how it goes. And I want to appreciate every sincere fighter for sovereignty out there. You are really doing an incredible job. We speak like this, not because we own the narrative, not because I'm the best for this fight. We speak like this because we want to multiply this fire. This is a fire. I am just one of the elements. And we need more people to fire on like this. Just the way I'm speaking like this. We want to reproduce it. And I'm looking for people that will do what I do. This is not for money. Just in case one day we are not here again. This should be a flame that should be passed on. Nobody tells Xi Jinping. If you look at the way Victor Gao, Xi Jinping, all these guys, the way they talk, the way they handle their sovereignty, they don't play with it. We should not play with our sovereignty. And that is why we bring this capacity every time. It might not be me. You should represent too. 100 is not enough for the. I'm not good enough for the fight. Everybody is what makes us good enough for the fight. I love the performance I saw in Kenya. Even if William Ruto tried a junta, William Ruto is a junta because that government is not constitutional. If it was constitutional, William Ruto would not be in power. Even if he tried. We saw live bullets. Have you not watched the clip? We saw live bullets during that protest. They said protest, a peaceful protest, is it not constitutional? Is it not the right of civilian? That's a junta right there. So what I would say is that I'm proud of the people of Kenya, the worthy ones, the true ones. After France surrendered, after they capitulated, when Germany, Nazi Germany attacked them, the Russian general, Marshal Zhukov, said that is a nation of many bastards. That's what they call France. This France today that is disturbing Africa. Please, let's not quit. We need to remember who we are. So family, I want to appreciate you for coming. And I want to say God bless you. And it's another opportunity and a privilege to represent the Android community. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your time. I much salute. Thank you.